Good morning, all of you. Welcome to Sri Jayendra Rank Zone. So, we are discussing lecture 2 in periodic classification of elements. So, in lecture 1, we have discussed about SPDF block up to SPDF block elements and how the classification of elements took place and what are the periodic properties, modern periodic law and Mendeleev's periodic law, Lothar's-Mears curve, etc. So, in this class, we are going to discuss more about periodic classification. So, this table is very, very important. You can just see here. S block elements. So what is the valence shell electron configuration of S block elements? NS122. Either they have NS1 or NS2 configuration. All S block elements. What are S block elements? The S block elements are those in which the differentiating electron enters into the S orbital. S orbital. So what is the nature of those elements? Metals. All S block elements are complete metals. You know, 1A and 2A group elements, they are nothing but S block elements and they are completely most electropositive metals. And as we go down the group, the electropositive character increases in any group, not only in S block. Next, what is the position in the periodic table? 1 and 2 group elements, 1A and 2A group elements. So next we have P block elements. What is the general outermost configuration of P block elements? NS2 NP126. NS2 NP126. So these general outermost configurations are important. They'll ask in the exam NS2 NP16 and for S block NS122. So next, so what are the P block elements consisting of? Consisting of metals and non-metals, metalloids and non-metals, but some metals also present, and they form group 13 to 18. Next we have D block elements. D block elements outermost configuration is N-1 D1 to 10, NS1 or 2, where N is equal to 4 to 7. So if you take N is equal to 4 to 7, so 3D, it starts with N-1 becomes 3. So 3D 1 to 10, 4S 1 2. That's what we have 3 to 12 groups, 3D series, 4D series and 5D series, and 6D series also is present. So we have total 40 elements in D block elements, and all D block elements are metals, but they are less electropositive when compared to S block elements. Next we have F block elements. F block elements, you can see the configuration N-2 F1 to 14, the outermost configuration. N-1 S2 N-1 P6 is not required to write. Just you can remove this. Only these two is removed. That is also. So what is the final configuration? N-2 F1 to 14, N-1 D01 and NS2. So this is the configuration for F block elements, outermost configuration. They will ask the outermost configuration of F block elements, P block elements and D block and F block elements. And what are the values of N? 6 and 7. So N-2 means F starts with from 4. So that's why we have 4F, 5F, 6F and so on. So next, all the F block elements are radioactive in nature. So what are radioactive elements? They disintegrate into giving alpha, beta and gamma radiations when exposed to light or any other element. So all the radioactive elements, they are stated separately because their properties are different from normal elements, because when they are exposed to light, like uranium, they disintegrate to give alpha, beta and gamma radiations. So that studies we will do in nuclear chemistry, which is not required right now. So F block elements all consisting of radioactive, and they start from 4F series lanthanides and 5F series actinides, and each series they have only two series, 4F and 5F, and each series consisting of 14 elements. So your 4F series lanthanides 14 elements, and it starts from cerium to lutetium, and lanthanum is the first element, but we will not keep it in 4F series because it belongs to D block. Similarly actinide also, that's why after actinide we have thorium to lawrencium. So lawrencium LW, thorium is THORUM, thorium 90 atomic number. So this is F block elements. So these are the basic summary of S, P, D and F block elements. So the periodic classification is been done into pairs and groups, and further it is classified into blocks. So we have S block, P block, D block and F block elements. So S block and P block together they are called as representative elements. S block and P block together they are called as representative elements. As we discussed in the previous class, they are also called as representative elements. D block is called transition elements and F block is called inner transition elements. So D block elements are called as transition elements, and F block are called as inner transition elements. So this table as it is, you write in your classwork. It's very, very important. And for F block, we have tried n-1, S2, n-1, P6 is not required. Just straight away we have tried n-2, F1 to 14, n-1, D0 or 1, ns2. Most of the F block elements contain 0. Only 1 will be. So this n-1, np2, this is not required. So remaining all it is present. So n-2, F1 to 14. Again, I'm writing here simply. You can just note it down. n-2, F1 to 14. n-1, D0 or 1. This in the case of only lanthanum, and ns2, where n is equal to 6 and 7. So this is the final configuration of final outermost valence shell configuration of F block elements, and remaining all you know. So I hope it is clear now. Now moving to next topic. Periodicity in atomic properties. Very, very important. Just underline this. Very, very important topic. From here onwards, you will get competitive questions. How they'll ask in the exam also I'll discuss. That is very, very important point. So what is periodicity in properties means already we have seen in Mendel's periodic table or modern periodic table. So modern periodic law, what we have given, the physical and chemical properties of all the elements are periodic functions of their atomic numbers and electronic configurations. So the periodic properties. So periodicity means what? Regular intervals, they are repeating their properties. So that is called periodicity in atomic properties. And what are the atomic properties we have? First, we have atomic radius. So before going to atomic radius, what is an atomic radius? The distance between the center of the nucleus to the outermost shell of a atom is called as its atomic radius. As the atomic number increases, atomic radius also increases because number of shells or number of orbits increases. So this is called atomic radius. So what is atomic radius definition? The distance between the center of the nucleus to the outermost shell of a atom is called its atomic radius. So what happens to atomic radius in a period and groups? So in all of these periodic properties, what is the range? What is the how it exists in period and group? We have to discuss all the periodic properties. That is most important points. So within a given period, atomic radius decreases from left to right. Very important. So in a period, if you see, always you have to see the period left to right. Very important. And group top to bottom. So now within a given period, suppose you take first period or second period, third period, total we have 7 periods. So within all the periods, atomic radius decreases from left to right. As we move from left to right, as the atomic size increases, the atomic radius decreases. While the electrons are being added to the same shell. Why? This is due to the effect of increase in nuclear charge, while the electrons are being added in the same shell. So what does this mean? For example, if we take second group element, second period here I'm writing second period lithium configuration if we take. So while comparing for lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, just I'm giving example for second period. In all the periods it follows the same. Second period we have boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine and neon. And when you are comparing atomic radius, we have to take orbit configuration, not the orbital configuration. You have to take orbit configuration. Or even if you take orbital configuration, you can understand. For example, what is the configuration of lithium? Atomic number is 3. So K2L1. K2, 2 here. And I'm writing it properly now. K2L1. L1. So for beryllium, we have K2L2. So one electron is added in the same shell, that is L, because atomic number is 4. Next for boron also same, it repeats. So K2, L3 and so on. Like that we have up to K2, L8. For neon we have last what we have K2, L8. So as the electron is adding to the same shell, means the size is not increasing. Only thing electron is adding to the same shell, what happens? More number of protons will be there in the nucleus, because in the first case we have 3 protons, second case we have 4, and within the same orbit, very important, within the same shell. Same shell is very important. And third case we have 5 protons, 6. Fourth case we have 6, that is carbon, 6 protons, like that. So As the number of protons are increasing, electrons are adding in the same shell. What happens? The nuclear charge increases. As the nuclear charge increases, it will have the more attraction for the outermost electron to come, because already we know electron is negatively charged and nucleus is positively charged. So as nucleus, because it contains protons, it is positively charged. Nucleus is positively charged. So what happens? The nucleus will pull the outermost electron towards itself. So as we move from left to right in the period, what happens? As the atomic number increases, and moreover the nuclear charge also increases. This is the effect of increasing nuclear charge while the electrons are being added to the same shell. So due to this reason, what happens? The atomic radius decreases from left to right. I hope it is clear. So very important point, the atomic radius decreases from left to right in a period. In all the periods, what are total 7 periods we have, always the atomic radius decreases from left to right. Next, within the given group, atomic radius increases down the group. So simple it is. So group means we have to see top to bottom. That is first group if you take for hydrogen to francium. So this is due to the increase in atomic number. As atomic number increases, number of shells also increase, because if you see hydrogen first group after hydrogen just will compare, because hydrogen is not resolved. So lithium onwards, if you see lithium atomic number 3. Next sodium, we have atomic number 11, potassium 19, rubidium, cesium, francium. So what happens here? As we go down the group, extra shell is added. Extra shell means, for example, lithium configuration K2L1, whereas sodium is K2L8M1, and this one is K2L8M8N1, potassium. So like that we have. So as we go down the group, extra shell is added, and due to the increasing number of shells, automatically the atomic size also increases. So this is any group. If you take first group, second group, 13th group, 14th group, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th group, any group you take, as we go down the group, due to the increase in atomic number, the number of shells increases. As the number of shells increases, what happens? The atomic size or atomic radius increases. So in any group, atomic radius increases down the group. Next, in the first transition series. Now coming to transition, it is different. In the first transition series, that is the nothing but what 3D series, because transition element starts from 3 to 12, and they have 3D, 4D, 5D, 6D series already I discussed with you. So in 3D series, if we take in the first transition series, atomic size slightly decreases from scandium to manganese. Scandium to manganese, very important. The atomic size slightly decreases from scandium to manganese because effect of nuclear charge is stronger than the shielding effect. So what is shielding effect? What is nuclear charge? So nuclear charge is nothing but the charge on the nucleus. As the number of positive charge increases, that is nuclear charge also increases. Whereas shielding effect means, the shielding effect in the sense the inner electrons shielding the outer electrons from the nuclear attraction. That is called shielding effect in proper manner. If you see, the inner electrons will shield the outer electrons. The inner electrons will shield the outer electrons so that it is away from the nuclear attraction. So this is commonly called as shielding effect. So the atomic size. So nuclear charge is stronger than shielding effect. So that's why from scandium to manganese, the atomic radius increases. Whereas the atomic size from iron to nickel remains almost the same, because both the effects balance each other. So there is not much atomic size, not much increase or decrease takes place from iron to nickel. Whereas from scandium to manganese, atomic size slightly decreases from scandium to manganese because of shielding effect as well as nuclear charge. So nuclear charge is more stronger than shielding effect. That's why atomic size, even though it is atomic number increases, but atomic size slightly decreases. So this is the effect of atomic radius in 3D series. The atomic size from iron to nickel remains almost the same because both the effects, that is, what are the effects? Nuclear charge as well as shielding effect. So what are the main forces acting on atomic radius? Is nothing but nuclear charge and shielding effect. If nuclear charge is stronger than shielding effect, automatically the atomic size decreases. And if both are balanced each other, the atomic size still decreases, but not that much decrease in the case of like that, as in the case of previous, that is from scandium to manganese. Next, the atomic size from copper to zinc slightly increases because shielding effect is more than effective nuclear charge. So from copper to zinc, if you take the last two elements in the group, that is from copper to zinc, slightly, this is not group actually, we'll say series only. It is neither period nor group. We cannot. So you can see it is fourth period. You can see here it is fourth period. Scandium to zinc. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fourth period. So scandium to zinc. So scandium to zinc total they are belong to fourth period. Only period if you take. So what happens finally? The atomic size from copper to zinc slightly increases. Very, very important. Actually, across the period, what happens? The atomic size should decrease. But here it is slightly increasing due to, because shielding effect is more than effective nuclear charge due to D10 configuration of copper and zinc. Because copper is having D9 configuration, 4s1 3d9, and zinc is having 4s2 3d10. So due to completely filled, the atomic shielding effect is more than effective nuclear charge. Due to this, what happens? Atomic size slightly increases. So if shielding effect is more, atomic size increases. If shielding effect is less, atomic size decreases. If nuclear charge is more, atomic size decreases. If nuclear charge is less, atomic size increases. So these 2 points you have to remember. Both are opposite in nature. So effective nuclear charge increases, automatically the atomic size decreases. And effective nuclear charge decreases, automatically atomic size increases. So next, coming to inner transition elements, as we move along the lanthanide size, there is a decrease in atomic as well as ionic radius. So the decrease in size is regular in ions but not so regular in atoms. This is called lanthanide contraction. So more about lanthanide contraction we'll discuss the next. So the term atomic radius of an atom means the distance from the center of the nucleus to the outermost shell of electrons. It is obviously impossible to isolate an individual atom and measure its radius. So also the radius is altered by the nature of the other atom with which it is linked. Atomic radii are calculated from interatomic distances. Very, very important here. Interatomic distances. Atomic radii are calculated from interatomic distances because atom itself is very small. To calculate the atomic radii, it's very, very difficult. That is the distance between the centers of two adjacent nuclei, which may be determined by X-ray and spectroscopic studies. So the distance between the two centers of adjacent nuclei, which may be determined by X-ray and spectroscopic studies. Note that the size of atom is not constant. It depends on the chemical bonding of atom, which in turn influences the electron cloud. The radius of neutral atom is called its atomic or covalent radius. So atomic radius is further classified into covalent radius or atomic radius, and the sum of the radii R1 plus R2 of two bonded atoms equals to the bond length. So what is bond length? The sum of the radii of first atom and second atom. Suppose if there are two atoms bonded by means of single covalent bond or double covalent bond or triple covalent bond, how we calculate? That is the sum of radii of two bond atoms equals to bond length. So the bond length between them is calculated nothing but sum of the two radii of two bond atoms. I hope this is clear. So atomic radius, the term radius of an atom means the distance from the center of the nucleus to the outermost shell of electrons, already we discussed. So it is obviously impossible to isolate an individual atom and measure its radius. So that can be determined only by the means of bond length. Next. Within a given period, atomic radius decreases from left to right. This already we discussed. This is due to the effect of increase in nuclear charge while the electrons are being added to the same shell. Very, very important. As the nuclear charge increases, the atomic size decreases or the atomic radius decreases. As the nuclear charge increases, electrons are drawn from closer to the nucleus. Also, that the added electron repels its neighboring electrons and tends to expand the electron cloud. But in the period when the electron is added to the same shell, the contracting effect of the increased nuclear charge exceeds the expanding effect of the increased electron repulsions. So that is nothing but effective nuclear charge is more than shielding effect, due to which what happens, the atomic radius decreases. So coming to first, second and third periods. What is the atomic radius? Hydrogen 0.37 and helium is 0.93. Lithium 1.34, beryllium 0.90, boron 0.82. Very, very important here. As we move from left to right, coming to lithium and beryllium. Lithium is 1.34 and beryllium is 0.90. Next boron 0.82, 0. These values not remember, just we have to see that it is decreasing from left to right. That is, it starts from lithium 1.34, and for neon it is slightly higher than all because of completely filled electrons. Completely filled electrons, and due to screening effect. Screening effect, what happens? High screening effect, the atomic radius increases. So neon is having 1.31, very, very important point to note down. As we move from left to right, what happens? The atomic radius decreases in a period, but at the last, it is increasing for neon, if you see here, and even for the second, sodium, argon is having more atomic radius than sodium. These are the values of atomic radius for sodium. So sodium is having more less atomic radius than argon actually. Actually, it should be, sodium should be less than argon, but it is more because of, for neon and argon, due to poor shielding effect. Due to shielding effect, due to higher shielding effect, because of complete filled electrons in the orbitals, due to shielding effect. The atomic radius of neon and argon is more, because what is the configuration of neon? NS2 NP6. Neon NS2 NP6. So it is completely filled electrons. For argon also NS2 NP6. So completely filled electrons. So as they are having completely filled electrons, that is completely filled S electrons, completely filled P electrons. So automatically it has high shielding effect. High shielding effect means what? The inner electrons will shield the outer electrons properly. So high shielding effect. Due to more shielding effect, the atomic sizes increases slightly when compared to fluorine or the consecutive, the what is the previous elements like chlorine or fluorine in this case. So this is very, very important point to note down, because they'll ask the trends of atomic radius for different elements. For example, they'll ask the question, arrange the following in the decreasing order of the atomic radius. Arrange the following in the decreasing order of the atomic radius. So they'll give similar period elements, or first period element, second period element, or third period element also. They can give any elements. So comparing to first period, the atomic radius of elements of first period is less when compared to second period elements, whereas the atomic radius of second period elements are less when compared to third period elements. You can see here third period elements. Third period means left to right, you have to see. Second period elements left to right. First period elements left to right. Period elements and group elements different. So always the atomic radius of second period elements are lesser than third period elements, and third period elements are lesser than fourth period elements, and so on like that. But across the period, what happens? Generally in any period, similar period means same period. For example, second period we have lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon. Third period we have sodium, magnesium, aluminum, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, and argon. So within the second period or within the third period, only the same period if you take into consideration, the atomic radius decreases from left to right, that is from starting element to the ending element. At the last, it increases because of high shielding effect. High shielding effect means what? Increase in shielding effect and less in nuclear charge. So in the last case, what happens? The nuclear charge will be decreasing and the shielding effect becomes more. If the shielding effect is more, the atomic size increases. If the nuclear charge is more, the atomic size decreases. These 2 points are very important. In the previous slide, we have discussed that point. Again, I'm repeating the same points. If the nuclear charge is more, the atomic size decreases. If the nuclear charge is less, the atomic size increases. Similarly, if the shielding effect is more, the atomic size increases. And if the shielding effect is less, the atomic size decreases. What is shielding effect? The shielding of inner electrons from the outer electrons. Means the outer electrons are shielded by inner electrons. So inner electrons means core electrons. If the shielding effect is not done properly, what happens? The outer electrons will come in contact with the nucleus. Means what? They are coming under nuclear attraction. When they come under nuclear pull or attraction, automatically the atomic size decreases. So this is the case of atomic radius. I hope it is clear now. Next. So as the atomic radius, we have different types of atomic radius. That is van der Waals radius, covalent radius, and ionic radius. So what are van der Waals radii? It is 1/2 the distance between the nuclei of two adjacent atoms. 1/2 the distance between the nuclei of two adjacent atoms belonging to two neighboring molecules in the solid state. So 1/2 of the distance between the nuclei of two atoms belonging to two neighboring molecules in the solid state. Hence, van der Waals radius is greater than covalent radius, and we consider only the van der Waals radius of noble gases. Hence, they are largest in a period. So, as we consider only the van der Waals radius of noble gases, they are larger in the period. So, example, the distance between half the distance between two distinct atoms belonging to neighboring molecules in the solid state is called as van der Waals radius. Next. Ionic radius. So ionic radius is the effective distance from the nucleus of an ion up to which its influence is felt on the electron cloud. Ionic radius is effective distance from the nucleus for an ion. Ion means here sodium ion, lithium ion. So either positive ion or negative ion. The radius of an atom changes appreciably using during loss or gain of electrons. Already we know an atom will get positive charge when it loses electron, and an atom will get negative charge when it gains electron. So the radius of an atom changes appreciably during loss or gain of electrons. When an atom loses an electron and forms a cation, the number of electrons decreases while the nuclear charge remains same. So the remaining electrons are drawn towards the nucleus with the result that the cation is much smaller than neutral atom. So very, very important. It's very simple. So what happens here? So what happens here? When an atom loses electron. So for example, here sodium atomic number 11. It contains 11 protons, 11 electrons, 11 protons, and 11 electrons. Then only it becomes neutral. Now what happens when sodium loses one electron? It becomes sodium ion, Na plus, sodium cation. It can lose only one electron because of its configuration. So Na plus. What happens in Na plus? It contains 11 protons, but only 10 electrons. So due to this, what happens? The nuclear pull is more, means as protons are more, the charge on the nucleus is more. So nuclear charge is more. So due to which what happens? The size of sodium ion is lesser when compared to sodium atom. So cation size is smaller when compared to neutral atom. That is the important here. So the cation size, the remaining electrons are drawn more towards the nucleus. So with the result that the cation is much smaller than the neutral atom. The last sentence is very important. Always the cation is much smaller than the neutral atom. So they'll ask the trends of ionic radius or atomic radius, anything. So they'll give neutral atom, they'll give ionic radius, ionic atom also, ionic ions also. So very, very important. Cation is always smaller than the neutral atom. So when an atom gains electron, it will form anion. So what happens in anion? Let us see now. So atomic radius of sodium is 1.54 angstroms, while the ionic radius of sodium is 0.95 angstroms. Why? Because in sodium ions, one electron is lost, and due to which the number of protons is more, so nuclear charge is more. As I already told you, if the nuclear charge is more for a species, that is either ion, atom, or molecule, automatically its size decreases. So atomic radius 1.34 angstroms for lithium, and its ionic charge is 0.60, and sodium 0.95, potassium. In every way it is the same. So always the radius of cation is smaller than the neutral atom. Its neutral atom. Radius of the cation is smaller than its neutral atom because of high nuclear charge. As the nuclear charge increases, the radius decreases. Next. On the other hand, when an anion is formed by the addition of electron to a neutral atom, so if an atom gains electron, it will form anion. That already we know. So when due neutral atom, there is increased electron-electron repulsion, and the effective nuclear charge is reduced. So the anion is always larger than the neutral atom. Anion is always larger than the neutral atom. Anion is always larger than the neutral atom. Example, the atomic radius of chlorine is 0.99 angstroms, while the ionic radius of chlorine is 1.181 angstroms. So atomic radius and ionic radius are measured in angstroms because of very, very less size. So I hope it is clear now. So the atomic radius of chlorine is 0.99 angstroms, while the ionic radius of chlorine is 1.81. So what happens in ionic radius? In case of anions, electron is more when compared to protons. That is, nuclear charge is less when compared to electronic charge, because the number of electrons increases as they are gaining the electrons. due to which what happens, the nuclear charge decreases and the screening nuclear charge decreases. As the nuclear charge decreases, we know atomic radius increases. Across the period, there is a decrease in ionic radius. When what is the ionic radius trend in period and group? Across the period, always there is a decrease in ionic radius, while down the group there is an increase in ionic radius because of atomic radius increases. So atomic radius and ionic radius are similar. So as we move from left to right, atomic radius decreases. In the same way, ionic radius also decreases. While down the group, there is an increase in ionic radius because of atomic radius increase due to atomic number increases and addition of extra shells. Same extra shells down the group. So this is refers to the same type of ion. So if we take fluorine, 0.72 is atomic radius, while its ionic radius is 1.36. Chlorine, 0.99, 1.81. Bromine, 1.14, 1.95. And iodine, 1.33, 2.16. So I hope it is clear. So ionic radius is greater than atomic radius in case of anions, and ionic radius is lesser than atomic radius in case of cations. So this is the final statement. I hope it is clear. Next. So in short, we can say that atomic radius decreases along the period. Nuclear charge increases progressively by 1 unit on moving from left to right across the period. As a result, the electron cloud is pulled closer to the nucleus by the increased effective nuclear charge. Increased effective nuclear charge is important. So as the electrons are pulling towards the nucleus, automatically the size decreases, which causes decrease in atomic size. Whereas atomic radius increases from top to bottom within the group, this is due to the increasing number of shells. This already we discussed. Next. So next periodic property is ionization potential. So first we have discussed successfully about atomic radius, ionic radius, and covalent radius. Next we have ionization potential. And in between atomic radius and covalent radius, which is bigger? Atomic radius is bigger than covalent radius. So out of all this, covalent radius is small. How to measure atomic radius? Actually, the atomic radius definition is the distance between the center of the nucleus to the outermost shell of an atom. But whereas atomic radius definition, if you see, means if you see the distance, it is nothing but half the distance between the two nuclei of two bonded atoms. Half the distance between the two nuclei of two bonded atoms. From there, we can calculate atomic radius. We cannot calculate atomic radius from single atom. It's very, very important. Next periodic trend property is ionization potential. So what is ionization potential? First, we'll discuss what is ionization potential. Then we'll discuss what is the trend. So the energy required to remove the valence electron of a neutral gas atom. The energy required to remove the valence electron of a neutral gaseous atom is called as ionization potential or ionization energy. So we can, even if you see the atoms, they gain or lose electrons only in gaseous state. They cannot gain or lose electrons in liquid state or solid state. So for example, if you see metals, metals are solid state room temperature. All metals are solid state room temperature except mercury. Okay. So as all metals are solid state room temperature, the metals will not so all metals will gain electrons, all metals will lose electrons, will not gain electrons, they lose electrons only in gas state. That is very important point. So any metal or any non-metal either lose or gain electron only in gaseous state. So from that only we got ionization potential. So how they lose the electron? Just by giving some energy. That energy is nothing but ionization potential or ionization energy. Ionization potential or ionization energy. So ionization energy is nothing but what? The amount of energy required to remove the valence electron of a neutral gas atom is called ionization energy or ionization potential. And when you see ionization potential or ionization energy, the ionization energy increases along the period. Very, very important. It increases along the period while decreases down the group. Why it is increasing along the period? Because across the period, what happens? Atomic size decreases. Atomic size decreases means the valence electron will be under the nuclear attraction. As the valence electron is under the nuclear attraction, what happens? More energy is required to remove that electron away from the nuclear attraction. So that is why it is called as the In a period, what happens? Ionization energy increases, while the day in a group, what happens? Down the group, ionization energy decreases because the valence electron is far from the nucleus. As the valence electron is far from the nucleus in the group, because as we go down the group, what happens? From top to bottom, if you see the group, what happens? The size of atom increases. As the size of atom increases, the outermost shell electron, that is the valence electron, is far from the nucleus. So as the valence electron is far from the nucleus, it is very easy to remove that electron by giving small amount of energy. So that's why ionization energy decreases down the group while ionization energy increases along the period. Now, what are the factors influencing ionization energy? Very, very important. So already I told you first factor, that is atomic size. The larger the size of atom, the smaller is the ionization energy. Means as the atomic size increases, ionization energy decreases. I hope it is clear. Next, effective nuclear charge. So what is effective nuclear charge? If the nuclear charge is more, effective nuclear charge, greater the effective nuclear charge on the nucleus of an atom, the more difficult it would be. It will be to remove. More difficult will be to remove the electron from the atom because electrostatic force of attraction between the nucleus and the outermost electron increases. So greater energy will be required to remove the electron. So as the nuclear charge increases, ionization energy increases because greater the effective charge on the nucleus, the more difficult it will be to remove the electron from the atom because electrostatic force of attraction between the nucleus and the outermost electron increases. So greater energy will be required to remove the electron. So by this regard, what we can say, ionization energy is directly proportional to nuclear charge. IE is proportional to nuclear charge. I'm writing here. You also can note down in your notes. Ionization energy I dot E is directly proportional to nuclear charge. Yes. And here, ionization potential is directly proportional to, inversely proportional to atomic size. Proportional to 1 by atomic size. Because atomic size increases, ionization potential decreases, atomic size decreases, ionization potential increases, or ionization energy. Next, penetration effect of d orbitals. What is penetration effect? So the order of energy required to remove electron from s, p, d, and f orbitals of a shell is given by the nothing but order is s greater than p greater than d greater than f. These two lines indicates f. It is f orbital. So s, p, d, f. So what is the penetration? The order of energy required to remove electron from s orbital, p orbital, d orbital, and f orbital. So automatically from s orbital it is more when compared to p, when compared to d, when compared to f. That already we know because s orbital is very far from the nucleus. So s orbital, p orbital, d orbital. So s orbital is close to the nucleus. So the amount of energy required to remove electron from s orbital is greater when compared to p, when compared to d, when compared to f. Next, shielding or screening effect. So screening effect results in the decrease in the force of attraction between the nucleus and outermost electron, and lesser energy is required to separate the electron. Thus the IP value decreases, that is the ionization potential value decreases. So what happens if the screening effect is more? Ionization potential is less. You can write here, screening effect is inverse proportional to ionization potential. Ionization energy is proportional to 1 by screening effect. So what is the meaning here? The screening effect. Screening effect means what? The screening of inner electrons from outer electrons. Nothing but that is nuclear attraction. So ionization energy is proportional to 1 by screening effect. Means what? As the screening effect increases, ionization energy decreases. As the screening effect decreases, ionization energy increases. Next, stability and half filled and fully filled orbitals. So it is very, very important. Half filled means, for example, D5 configuration. Fully filled means D10 configuration. In the case of F orbital, if we take, it is F7 configuration is half filled, F14 is fully filled orbital configuration. Similarly, in case of S electron, 1s1, because fully is 1s2, s2. And in case of P electrons, half filled is P3 and completely filled is P6. So half filled and complete filled. According to Hunt's rule, the stability of half filled or completely filled degenerate orbitals is comparatively high. So comparatively more energy is required to separate the electron from such atoms. So that's why due to the stability, half filled and fully filled orbitals, Naturally, the ionization energy is much higher for those half-filled and fully filled orbitals than the incomplete filled and incomplete filled orbitals. So I hope it is clear. So the ionization energy of half-filled and fully filled orbital elements is more when compared to the ionization energy of incomplete orbital elements. I hope it is clear. So this is the trend in ionization energy. If you see the diagram, here, it is increasing. Ionization energy increases from left to right. So that is across the period. And the ionization energy trend is given here clearly. So from left to right, ionization energy increases. Next. In this also we have some exceptions. That exceptions also we'll discuss. So ionization energy is the amount of energy required to remove the one electron from the outermost orbital of an isolated gaseous atom or neutral gaseous atom in its ground state. Isolated gaseous atom or neutral gaseous atom in its ground state. So ionization energy decreases with the increase in atomic size and increases with the increase in nuclear charge, as we already discussed. Ionization energy decreases with the increase in atomic size and increases with the increase in nuclear charge. Ionization energy decreases with the increase in number of inner electrons and increases with the increase in penetration of power of electrons. This point is important. Ionization energy decreases with the increasing number of inner electrons. As the number of inner electrons, that is co-electrons, not the outermost electrons, increases, the ionization energy decreases and increases with the increasing penetration of power of electrons. So if penetration power of electrons is more, that is the shielding effect is less, automatically the ionization energy increases. Atoms which have more stable configuration, that is fully filled, that is NS2 NP6 configuration, like in the case of inert gases, noble gases, are half filled, has high value of enthalpy or ionization energy. Very, very important. And ionization energy increases with the increase in atomic number as we move from left to right across the period, because same number of electrons are adding the more number of electrons are adding the same subshell. So ionization energy increases with the increase in atomic number as we move from left to right across the period. And ionization energy decreases down the group, that already we discussed. So next. Next, electron affinity. So second factor is electron affinity. So I hope ionization energy is very, very important. So how it trends in a group and a period, we'll discuss now. So before going to that, after next periodic property is electron affinity. So what is electron affinity? Electron affinity is the enthalpy change taking place when an isolated gas atom accepts an electron. So already we know when a neutral atom gains electron, it becomes anion. So in that process, in neutral atom, when an accepts an electron, that is gains electron to form monovalent gaseous anion. The whatever the energy in that process, what happens, always the energy is released. The energy change taking place when a neutral isolated gaseous atom accepts an electron to form a monovalent gaseous anion is called electron affinity. Larger the value of electron gain enthalpy or electron gain enthalpy. Gain enthalpy means automatically they gain the energy. So larger the value of electron gain enthalpy, greater is the tendency of an atom to accept electron. So greater the magnitude of nuclear charge, larger will be the negative value of electron gain enthalpy. This point is important. As the nuclear charge is more, the electron gain enthalpy is more. Greater the magnitude of nuclear charge, larger will be the negative value of electron gain enthalpy. So what is electron gain enthalpy? When a neutral gaseous atom gains electron or accepts an electron to form an anion, whatever the energy change that is taking place is called as electron affinity or electron gain enthalpy. Gain means it is gaining some energy because of extra electron. As it is gaining electron, automatically it has extra electrons, so its energy will be more. So that is why it is commonly called as electron gain enthalpy. And greater the magnitude of nuclear charge means what? The nuclear charge is more, larger will be the negative value of electron gain enthalpy. Larger the size of atom. Next point, if you see, larger the size of atom, smaller will be the negative value of electron gain enthalpy automatically, because it has more tendency to lose electron, not to gain electron. So if a atom is having bigger size, it has smaller will be the value, negative value of electron gain enthalpy. So more stable the electron configuration of the atom, more positive will be the value of its electron gain enthalpy. So if the electronic configuration atom is more stable, more positive will be the value of electron gain. So electron gain value enthalpy will be positive and negative. So in general simple words, if you take for every element we have electron gain enthalpy, and for metals the electron gain enthalpy will be negative value because they have the tendency to gain electron, not to lose electron. So in simple words, if you see, if they lose electron, so if the atom is having the tendency to lose electrons, so its electron gain enthalpy is negative. Similarly, if the atom is having the tendency to gain electron, its electron gain enthalpy become positive. And for noble gases also, the electron gain enthalpy will be positive. So electron gain enthalpy becomes negative as we move from left to right along the period, because electron gain enthalpy becomes negative as we move from left to right. So it has more electron gain enthalpy becomes negative along the period because of non-metals, metals to non-metals. And electron gain enthalpy becomes less negative down the group. So as we go down the group, the electropositive character increases. So in general or simple, we can say it is opposite to electropositive character. As we go down the group, the electropositive character increases and electron gain enthalpy decreases. And as we move from left to right, the electropositive character decreases and electron gain enthalpy increases. So electron gain enthalpy increases. Increases in the sense it can be negative. Next. So electron affinity. So what is electron affinity? The amount of energy of the enthalpy change that is taking place when a neutral gas atom gains an electron, or gains an electron or accepts an electron. So electron affinity increases along the period while decreases down the group. So very important, electron affinity increases along the period. From left to right, if you see, electron enthalpy increases. And increase in sense, don't think it is positive, it has more negative value. And anyway, it increases. Just in simple words, values are not important here. So in simple words, you can say electron affinity increases along the period because metallic character decreases. As we move from left to right, the metallic character decreases, means the tendency to accept electrons increases, whereas the tendency to donate electrons or to lose electrons decreases. Next, down the group, what happens? The electropositive character increases, means the tendency to lose electron increases. So automatically the electron gain enthalpy or electron affinity decreases. So in a group, electron affinity decreases. In a period, electron affinity increases. Now factors affecting the magnitude of electron affinity. First, we have atomic size. In general, electron affinity values decreases with the increasing atomic radius. Electron affinity value decreases with the increasing atomic radius because electrostatic force of attraction decreases between the electron being added and the atomic nucleus due to increase in the distance between them. Very important point to see here. In general, electron affinity decreases with the increasing atomic radius. So what happens as the atomic radius increases, electron affinity decreases because the electrostatic force of attraction between the nucleus. So as the atomic radius increases, what happens? The electrostatic force of attraction between the electron being added and the atomic nucleus due to increase of distance between them. So due to which what happens? The electrostatic force of attraction between the nucleus and the outermost electron decreases. So automatically the electron value decreases with the increasing atomic radius. Next, second point, effective nuclear charge. So first point, it is clear, atomic size. As the atomic size increases or the atomic radius increases, electron affinity value decreases. This is due to electrostatic force of attraction between the electron being added and the atomic nucleus due to increasing distance between them. Next, we have effective nuclear charge, because as the atomic size increases, what happens? The tendency of the atom to lose electron increases. If the tendency of atom to lose electron increases, automatically its electron affinity value decreases. Now, second point, effective nuclear charge. Electron affinity value of the element increases as the effective nuclear charge on the atomic nucleus increases because, so if that effective nuclear charge increases, electron affinity value also increases because electrostatic force of attraction between the electron being added and the nucleus increases. And the nucleus increases. This reason is enough. So as the electrostatic force of attraction increases, amount of energy released is more. So if the electrostatic force of attraction is more, automatically the electron nuclear charge increases. As the effective nuclear charge increases, electron affinity value of the atom also increases. Next is screening or shielding effect. So what happens to the screening? If the screening or shielding effect is less, what happens? It is very difficult to, so the electron affinity of the elements decreases while the increasing shielding or screening effect. Means what? Here, as the shielding effect increases, the electron affinity value also decreases. As the screening effect or shielding effect increases, the electron affinity value decreases. The shielding effect between the outer electrons and the nucleus increases as the number of electrons increases in the inner shells. So this is the effect of screening or shielding effect with respect to electron affinity. What is simple it is, electron affinity value of the elements decreases with the increasing of shielding effect or screening effect. I hope it is clear. Next, we have stability of half-filled and complete filled orbitals. The stability of half-filled and complete filled degenerate orbitals of a subshell is comparatively more, so it is difficult to add electron in such orbitals, and lesser energy is released on addition of electron. Hence, electron affinity value also decreased. So, due to the stability of half-filled and complete filled orbitals, it's very difficult to remove electron from those as well as add electron also. Even if you add electron also, less amount of energy is released. So, for more stable and half-filled completely d orbitals or half-filled and completely orbital elements, the electron affinity value is less. So all these points are very important because they are going to ask trends of electron affinity, trends of ionization potential, trends means decreasing order or increasing order for different species of elements they will be giving, or the atoms, electron affinity, ionization potential, and this atomic radius. All the three are very, very important. So next. So next we have electronegativity. So before going to discuss electronegativity, once again I want to tell you electron affinity. So what is electron affinity? The amount of energy released. The amount of energy released when a neutral gas atom gains electron is called as electron affinity. And electron affinity is negative or positive depending on the type of gaining of electron. So what are the factors affecting electron affinity? Atomic size, affecting nuclear charge, screening or shielding effect, and stability of half-filled and complete filled orbitals. So in general, if you want to tell, electron affinity is exactly opposite to ionization potential. So ionization potential and electron affinity differently. Next we have, so electron affinity means the amount of energy released. Ionization energy means the amount of energy required and it is released. Both are having differences. You can understand. So ionization potential, the amount of energy required to remove the electron, whereas ionization potential, electron affinity is the amount of energy released when a neutral gas atom gains electron or accepts electron. So that is the difference between them. So these trends in electron affinity, ionization potential, they'll ask, for example, arrange the following in the increasing order of the electron affinity. Arrange the following in the decreasing order of the electron affinity. Similarly, arrange the following in the decreasing order of the ionization potential, like this. So all these factors are influencing in that question. So we have to remember these factors very well, very, very important. Next, we have electronegativity. So what is electronegativity? It is a tendency of an atom in a molecule to attract the shared pair of electrons towards itself. So it is a tendency of an atom in a molecule to attract the shared pair of electrons towards itself. And in periodic table, which is the highest electron affinity atom is chlorine, whereas electronegativity atom is fluorine. You can remember these two. Highest electropositive character, cesium. Highest electronegative character, fluorine, F. Whereas highest electron affinity, chlorine, Cl. That also why we'll discuss the coming sessions. So what is electronegativity? The tendency of an atom in a molecule to attract a shared pair of electrons towards itself is called electronegativity. It is neither energy or nothing. Just it has a tendency to of an atom in a molecule. So greater the effective nuclear charge, greater is the electronegativity. This point is important to underline. As the effective nuclear charge increases, electronegativity character also increases. Greater the effective nuclear charge, greater is the electronegativity. Why? Because as the effective nuclear charge increases, so it has more attraction towards the outermost electron is having more attraction towards the nucleus due to electrostatic force of attraction. So for those elements, electronegativities become higher. Next, smaller the atomic radius, greater is the electronegativity. This point is also important. Smaller the atomic radius. So what happens as we move from left to right, atomic radius decreases. Smaller the atomic radius, greater is the electronegativity because it is due to having higher effective nuclear charge. Both are interlinked. Next, electronegativity increases on moving from left to right in a period due to decrease in atomic radius and increase in effective nuclear charge. Just now I told you, no. So electronegative character increases on moving from left to right because, so what are the two factors affecting electronegativity? One is atomic radius, so decrease in atomic area and increase in effective nuclear charge both influence electronegativity. Due to this, what happens? Electronegativity increases on moving from left to right in a period due to decrease in atomic radii and increase in effective nuclear charge. Next, this final statement. Electronegativity decreases on moving down the group due to increase in atomic radii because of increased number of shells. So as the number of shells increases, atomic radius increases. As atomic radius increases, electronegativity decreases. So I hope it is clear now. Next. So increasing electronegativity, you can see in this table clearly. So from left to right, electronegative character increases and down the group, electronegative character decreases. So electronegativity is more for, in general, if you want to tell you, electronegativity is more for non-metals when compared to metals. And electropositivity is more for metals when compared to non-metals. So as we move from left to right, electropositive character decreases, electronegative character increases because non-metals are changing, metals are changing to non-metals. So these are the periodic trends. The periodic trends definitely they'll ask in the examination for all competitive exams. The periodic trends are important, and the factors affecting, if you know the factors affecting the periodic trends, so that is atomic size, ionization potential, electron affinity, and electronegativity. So today in this session we have discussed 4 periodic trends. What are those? First one we have discussed atomic radius, ionic radius, and van der Waals radius. That is coming under one category only, that is atomic radius. Second, we have discussed ionization potential and factors affecting ionization potential. Third, we have discussed electron affinity and factors affecting electron affinity. And fourth, we have discussed electronegativity. All these 4 properties, 4 periodic trends are most important for the objective type, that is competitive exams, because they ask the trends of different elements for these properties. So all these 4 properties are important. And in the next session, we are going to discuss questions on periodic trends and entire periodic table chapter. Because this is a theoretical chapter, I am not discussing questions. Finally, I'll discuss all the questions. I hope it is clear. Thank you.